hear me. That's it. Or then I Jaase. And here that Daniel. When I feel back association. When what be a me down, now me ya me wow. We really say or no. I feel that not a damage. When I feel only who I do only back coming here can you say Lile Akato Bushi. The friend I am the then you call it there.
Hey, I don't.
Ago. Yeah, I mean, where you going with it?
Ago. Kankan inu wodomo ne ewulu wodomo yo subi anomi yo na cheme nyeme je mawoji fe ni ja kuto na mi na metie won chenye chuchu nye ba ida anyenu nye ka jo mo dura jo biasuma biasuma brigadier Fachi Muaya Bonio mi senke webi tekpuluke webi dudo na nchonye yeba ya danyenu a nyeke jomo dra jowo nche na ebe so bo misa nai ope dada mira odoma kibiki amraro ope amugio ope totro amefo amena se kamle fransaki me fe nyaba ya ko nyenu anya ga jo moduro ajo awo nche sakmo krote okutu breche bo ke fiti osa meta ni won chebo ife ni fiti lo ba so hawo na ko ya aboyo san fre pompo awon meta no fufo chenyo yawo no pe won ose no ko wa do mo tesa wulu ono okon folo boko balo mi balo ku ogo ke webi na nchoje nye fe nyira ya da nyenu anye ka do mo dura ajo awo koko bi na nchoje nye ba ya da nyenu anye ka do mo dura ajo awo je no ko ni shi no ko ni bone kintaki adama lache ato gakusu fe ni jukusu ni yono na ke tule ake gamanche ni ya to ga ni ji Jaase che ke Jaase piafo efe na ke tule isra te government kokro ni aji eyin epo ni ba gbe wule won yen mi ahun kabata ngene gbi ni wo yu ole fe ku owo chonye ni yenye bu awo je kejese pe no ni won na ne te chi jo bransi di enche le won akele ba na kai no le won ebe ba gba wona chi ni wo chenye nye boto ni yenye bu awo di nye gbelegbe dani wo ketu ni adama lache lolo no mi wo yin chi ni se ne ate court na me no amikati appeals court ni mo dromo na tie ni wo chenye nya yenye bu awo nya ka kuni yele akikire aka finwo lolo ameyemi ameplenku ene he ba ke mene dune di Jaase ka Jaase fe ka gato mu wo fe wo ka won fe press conference ni wo tra game fe to nme eni anukwali e kan na ka fonje loni wo bi oni nya fe nya awo kekeji ni ano bi anto ne me ni je gapo ameje amekolo ame wumi na memo amefiti owo gan do dan wo ka shuo shuo anye ni na kanyo nu omi hie ko ni ami bona fe ni wo pa nu wo gbra de ba hwe wɔ yie
Yeah.
na kan no me ni de wɔ efo kɛsha kan bi ye wɔ bɛlo ko kɛmo fe e anya de
Yeah.
ni nye ha o manye afi wɔ no
Yeah.
na ato akpe wɔ no bɛ niye nínú wɔ bí ɔkɛkɛji wɔn bí bí awura
Yeah.
hɔ awura
Yeah.
na ha wɔ gbɔmɔto hi walɛ kɛ wala ni sɛ kɛ wɔ yɛn ni bi ne bɛ wɔ yɔbɔn ni wɔ bɔbɔn kɛjɛ lama k'a gbé adansula k'a gbé oputu apra gbɛgɛ ibi o ko di nkɛ na fɔsa na wala ye wala mi wala sɛ wala mi jɛ na ma fi wɔ tu twa o ma nya la.
Yeah.
waje no twmo nshi no ofite bi ene wo mache nyemi Reverend Theophilus ni papa kwoti ni ike himeji ya na yemu abaha adaficha lo
Press conference by the Paramount Stool Jaase on an appeal and stay of execution filed by Ojiaoho Yao JB II, President of the National House of Chiefs, on recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal, Kumasi, at the Supreme Court. Friends of the media, Nime Name, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. The Jaase of the Ghana Paramount Stool has invited you to this press conference to throw light on the recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal sitting in Kumasi and to express our surprise and protest on the stance taken by the President of the National House of Chiefs, filing an appeal and stay of execution against the judgment of the court. To say the least, this development is shocking to the Jaase and generally embarrassing, since under Article 270 Clause 3B of the 1992 Constitution, the National House of Chiefs is mandated to establish and operate a procedure for the registration of chiefs and the public notification in the Gazette or otherwise of the status of persons as chiefs in Ghana. Background: friends of the media, with the demise of Bonini Amugi II, Gamanche, in 2004, the need for replacement befell the Jaase and his Jaase. However, at the time, the Jaase Ni Kweku Niri, known in private life as Mr. Portego, had predeceased Nigan, which situations call for the installation of a new Jaase. Since by the customs and usage of the Ghana Stool, only a Jaase can perform the burial of the king and install a new one. This led to the installation of Ni Yaote Otoga II, who rightly sat in state to bury Ni Amugi, and install Boni King Taki Adamalache II, Gamanche, in 2011. Owing to protracted chieftaincy dispute, it was until 24th April 2015 that it was gazetted by the National House of Chiefs as the legitimate Gamanche, after the process had passed through the Ghana Traditional Council, the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, and finally the National House of Chiefs, with a publication in the Chieftaincy Bulletin as mandated under Section 60 Clause 1 of the Chieftaincy Act 2008, Act 759. On 17th October 2017, King Taki Adamalache II was admitted into membership of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Then on 20th October 2017, Kevin Taki was unlawfully imposed on the good people of Ghana as Gamanche and forcibly brought to the Stool house under protection of a combined military and police team. Subsequently, the name of Bonikintaki Adamache II was unlawfully and unjustifiably expunged from the National Register, and that of Kelvin Taki inserted without any evidence of death, abdication, bestowment, or judicial order to expunge Ni Adamalache's name. This resulted in Ni Adamalache II applying to the High Court, Kumasi, for a mandamus to compel the National House of Chiefs to restore its name in the National Register of Chiefs as the Gam Manche. The High Court, Kumasi, rightfully ordered accordingly after hearing all the parties, and subsequently on 12 June 2025, the Court of Appeal unanimously affirmed the decision of the High Court and accordingly dismissed the appeal mounted by both National House of Chiefs and the interested party. From the above stated facts, we beg to ask the following questions. 1. Is the President of the National House of Chiefs, as the head referee of such institution, right to appeal to the Supreme Court? 2. Is the decision to appeal a collective decision of the whole House or a body? We believe that the National House of Chiefs is made up of well-established lawyers and judges who believe in the rule of law and will stand up to be counted, and we graciously appeal to them for the withdrawal of the process from both the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. Finally, we appeal to the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs to intervene in order to uphold both justice and peace in the Ghan state. Meanwhile, we call on the good people of the Ghan state to remain resolute but be calm in these times of turmoil in our Ghan chieftaincy matters. A comprehensive press conference on the whole issue will be addressed soon. Long live Bonikintaki Adamalache II. Long live the Jaase and the Jaase. Long live the Ghan state. Thank you.
Jaase economy ke ha wonye me game hu anu ihie o wa gie mi kuku no ne ka me ka ji amechenye bi enwene ye sane ni kangano ake gamanche sane kajabe na atonia mugi kabashi 2011 ne ni ya to ga ake ganja seche eto gamanche ni gamanche ni eto oji ni taki adama lache shimon sene aya gazette manche kokulu ene wo aketo mo boni nke enye mla ni ga enyo mla se hiwo ika domo high court ake gbeno na cho na ji egbe ya gazette mi eja keke atomoko manche kusu na atole manche ni taki adama lache atole manche bemi na mole ake abifao na ba atole manche nle mene na egbe na mekwa ni tete TV keje nwe igbe tekenye blema video ne aketo ni taki adama lache eji efe bi ani koti media no enye no fe ichoka je be na mole sempe mancheshia jenji na mole aya jeshishi na kale fogan akuche pawo ofemi dana atule aha Jaase ni Jaase kelete century atuno fo no ya century ja wole tumi ye sakumo wo mo nye meni ba kwena kan video amba na le ba fe kusu le ba ye npai enye mi fi oko ni na ne geleji sakumo we yicho You can't chole no ko numbo gbami. She wa wale aga chole ni ofe. Nse na ewie baba o ye mini kwajiano. Ni mititiri accuse me. Mene na kan video lo ame kwe. Beni sakmo ro mo ba ofe. Le yin da to enyon. Ne ka nye hie. Na ko achu kusu. Simpe manche jeme di otinto. Ni gbese ye mi. Asira Jaase che ni amakai. Amefe ame ye mi ni chwanke atole ye kusuna. Ni ka gbe ne na da na gbe na ba gazette yen na me yu here. Gazette yen le government gbeji anoto. Na ka na manche me nyolo ete ya kuchoko memi yen no ato na kan gbeji ano oni moniji pote a gazette bu. Ni se ne o manyeme ko me hun echepe. Ameke gazette na da malache yen fraudulent. Nito aga tafra che junini. Noni ma keji ele. E ya ge ni adamalache nye ni le ya gazette. Ni adamalache enye ni le ko gazette. Ne ke ya Regional House of Chiefs. Alo ke ya Kumase ake nye gazette ami. Awo mi gamache. She wa constitution ke chieftaincy act en wo yo eto gbejiano. Ni ke atomoko manche ya kusun na achono dana ake gazette. Kenkleji from 1B go ye. Manche ke Jaase che ke Jaase ambafil from 1B ye. Ka me feel amegbe na American Traditional Council. Eja ke Traditional Council ama me kura kusun gbejiano to fe ye Ogun State name gamanti asie. No na fi aka ami. Ama uya kusun na ye constitution na. Sana me kwa mi fe ketotomo ko be mi ye keka amamba forward ke ya Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Mini ya ajen eja ke ame won ama me hie no ni brofo chole supervisory role. Traditional councils abonu oyo ye gan a Greater Accra ne ame fe ame ye Greater Accra House of Chiefs shishi. No ameji supervisors. No ame ko ba ajen ni Greater Accra House of Chiefs hu ba kwemi kenoko be mi ye keke ame forward the National House of Chiefs. Jebeji any constitution ha me na me ke gazette mancheme. Ama akwemi kenoko be mi ye keka gazette bu. No ni bi eteni nche ne fe keje beni adamalache ke from 1B ya Hagan Traditional Council emoko na kan wolu mi don. Odi fe ni wolu shi ga Traditional Council ne gete dodwa Regional House of Chiefs. Ne shi dodwa Regional House of Chiefs. Na gete National House of Chiefs Kintaki adamalache bemi. Shi ama me kweno fe no ya kusuna na be na ake o ye mu na me fa aka gazette na gazette do inye me kan cheme ni obie ka a chemo ko fraudulent ani manye ni kaneni ne ka adamalache fraudulent adamalache ji fraudulent me ne cho ame fraudulent ji ka Traditional Council ni do dun saki no mi enyia me here ake acting president. Alo be Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Ni woche ni welenchi odehe fio yo hedoye papa ni welenchi na enyenyi yakeleji president. Ni do dun sakiji acting president ye gan Traditional Council. Keke na gbe agete National House of Chiefs. No me ni chu wolu oheni be amesani eka ameju ameha adamalache. Shi adamalache nyin eju. No be ni me fe ni adamalache nu shishi de ekete High Court by mandamus. High Court kwesa ni emi na me kwa mi fe ameke o dabi National House beno ni nyecho ni nyejie egbe eja no asa na ke egbe awomi beno wa na National House of Chiefs ni boni inyemi e kale e brofo emi ye wa constitution. The constitution Article 270 3B of the 1992 Constitution. Eke henajo na akwa ne kesaje ne yaji National House of Chiefs. No je nji ni ahame order na me fiye. Na ahame order mo obeni wa na amete appeal court ama fe appeal enu wa na Kevin efa moni egele di esenche e wo ole moni jiga senche eye npa ye bi e mo fe mo eye o dase acho mo teta ashon aga e join as an interested party na mete na ya lemi ngbo dromo na be ni jeje egbe ona aga o be na je ebe mlami no akegbe awomi high court en wi no mo no na amafia appeal me anyone amafia appeal 2021 were 2025 which was 4 years ago shake no me MPP government abiti amawo ake ameka buy time kaka buy time me logo to mo da ta asa adamala chena do bo yen ka appeal aya e ka shi wana twi wo ha me 2025 ne wo ka agbe ne nu efi ma do no wote wa chi ehin de wo san wo fi agaje wo wa fi appeal shake ni won ta na nu kwale akashi wo wote wo ke cheme ya appeal court akasa ne ko ba hanye kaja 2021 wonu ko no ko ye wo 2025 do afi ne le won ta ni na kan sane e akwe lele appeal court na wo sane aka eja do no na mechuhe ni na nwa Kevin ke ewo bi ake nye ba answer nwa national house lele na ma answer won wo ha etu ni wo ha etu wo na alomi nyungba dromo appeal court e ma no ni high court e ke no mi do le nwe ha me 14 days na me ka wo mi 14 days e won kan dia keke yi wa ni mo afi sumo ke wo wala so ani ba ni 14 days e she si chochi le me beru wa pe no president of the National House of Chiefs ni bo referee jibo no court e kwani ami e ke o bo ni eyo eja no ni fa ni ye ke ma he ni ikan e te afi appeal ye no the Supreme Court ina yo Jaase ekpe na me ge da bi ina ise amahama mfe ana no kwale ake gbeno ni wo president e ta frache echon ikan agbeno lo ehin no ene ewo ameche na me ba chon ene ma me ye you are don no jaje no ko fi o at the time when wa fe ni e regional house e no me watch ni note the wo na ni beji no me le ta no shi mi aga ni meneta no president no wo ni we kaka ake wolu eje regional house na te national shi eje intaki adamala che ede alo ni no na te no je me ma correct first my friends of the media we are down and we would like to take questions if any then we go on. Now please come forward. Your name and the media from which you are coming. Oh, you can start here. Oh yeah, come face the camera so that they can see.
My name is Kofi. I work with XYZ Broadcasting. The last time I was asking myself a simple question on air. I was asking, what is happening in the Ghana state? Whereas if you have a political A in power, then you sort of have a Ghana king or chief. A political B is in power. You also have another Ghana chief or king. Is it a matter of the elders in the Ghana state cannot come together to get a unified king or chief, or what is the issue? And why would the chiefs allow themselves, quote unquote, to be used by political parties? Because I've been to the Ashanti region, Volta region, Eastern, you don't see these things there. Why is it at the capital we are experiencing these sort of chieftaincy issues? I want to use some clarity.
Thank you very much for that question. The simple answer to your question is that it is never true that when new governments come into power, then they install chiefs for us. It is never true. I'm saying this because Boni Ni Taki Adamalache II was installed in 2011. In 2011, it was done without any help or any assistance from government. More so, if the video I was talking of, if you have the opportunity, if we finish, I'm going to have your numbers. I'll forward it to your platforms so that you yourself will observe it. There was not a single military or police personnel around or among those who witnessed when they brought him as a Gamanche. The Jaase rejected until they buried Niamugi and installed Adamalache. So Adamalache was even installed at the end, getting to the end of President Kufuor's reign. But nobody stood against us because we were going by our customs and usages. So for somebody to tell you that is never true. Secondly, when that era left, then came the NDC, if you are talking of governments. When they came, King Adamalache was there. But the other section of the Jaase were them fighting with us at the courts, regional house, and the rest. So that went on. But still, he was playing his role as the government chief until we were able to fight through and be gazetted. And he continued his reign. Lo and behold, he continued without any disturbance from any government. From the Mills government, when Mills passed on, His Excellency, the present president, became the president. Still, he reigned as Gamanche with no hindrance, has been gazetted. Until 2017, when NPP came. Then here again, they started that skirmishes. And then they thrown out Nitaki Adamalache and brought him Kevin. They even have to use the military and police to go and remove him from the palace and the Stool house under military guidance. The installation of Kevin, everybody in Ghana knows, it was under heavy security. Hamburg cars and whatnot were at the palace, where they said they were having commemoration of that so-called Gamanche. So it is never true. This is the answer I will give you. More so, we install our chiefs through customary process. And we have places. The stool room is the first point of call. That is where you will be put and the necessary performance will happen. It's just like we have in other regions in Ghana. That was what was done for Nitaki Adamalache. But with regard to Kevin, you know, because it was in the papers, I think one of the either graphic or daily guide, one seat, two Kings or two Gamancheme. And we all saw in that graphic Kelvin Taki sitting on a bed in someone's room at Dakuma. You understand, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yes. When they are taking your paramount chief, they are installing your paramount chiefs. Is it in your stool room or is it in the private home? So the difference is clear. Nigga was installed in the stool room. All the performances near Adamalache, all the performances happened there. The most important, I think recently it was a re-telecast for us, the instrument of Utumfuo, our great king. You saw it, how he came to the place where they have to swear the oath of our allegiance. All the kings and the queens gathered and he was holding the sword. It's the same thing we do in Accra. Our place is called Amugina. That is where you swear. Kentucky Adamalachi came to swear before all guns. Kevin has never been to Amugina to swear the oath of allegiance. And sessions of the chieftaincy had shows how a person can be a chief. Without passing through that process, you can never be a king. So all that we say is, we are not using. If we wanted to use political, as they are saying, as you are saying, the question our houses. Everybody knew when MPP and President Akufo-Addo came. Even the president himself was proud on his last visit to the Ghana Traditional Council to bid them farewell. He pronounced it that had it not been him, Kevin Taki would never have been a Ghana king. But it was advice from Honorable Stalia Ajiri Branksy. He called that name, and some of the Ghana elders in the party, they came to Lord Combe and the rest. They came to consult him, and he did it, which even was an insult to the Ghana kingship, because nobody should stand before our kings and queens and tell us it was through his influence that our so-called Gamanche was installed. It belittles us. So it's an insult to us. So we have never ascribed to that notion. And I was saying, when Mama came, if really they are saying, okay, that side is for MPP, and then Adamalache is for NDC. Since when did NDC came to government? Is it not January, about 6 or 7 months now? Did you hear the party coming in? Even Kevin was invited to these independence celebrations. Most of the chief executives and the ministers are going to call on him. And somebody prevented it. So that clearly shows that we don't want any political interference. Thank you. Sorry. Mr.
No, some of us have been following this kind of legislative issues in the state. And I want to ask me, Utoga, who installed the Niandaman land, has he been playing the role as an acting in Mecca that time before he installed the Adaman land, or he's been called as a recognized or legitimate kingmaker of the Ghana state?
Thank you very much. And that's a very good question. Because without a Jaase, we have already said this on many occasions, without a Jaase, there can never be a king or a Gamanche. Ni Otogan, sitting in the middle here, was properly elected and installed the Gajaseche. That was prior to the burial of Nyamugi. Because you heard it in the statement which my junior brother read. He said at the time, Ni Amugi went to the ancestors. The Ga Jaseche, who was then known as Ni Kwakunri, or in private life, or Tego, predeceased him. That means he went before him. So the Ghana state had double agony, being that whilst there was no Jaseche, the king is also gone. So this compelled the installation of a Jaseche before the king could be buried. So Ni Yatotoga was customary installed, and this there for everybody to see or know. He sat in state as the chief mourner at the Gamanche Palace during the burial of Nyamugi. He received representatives of Otunfuo, that is our late Ofinsohini, who recently also went to. Yes. He led the delegation from the Ashanti king. Our Akim Abuakwa king, Nana of Repenting, he came personally. And my Jaase just sitting here, received them to the Deba grounds by then President Mills, late, was the president. He was there. He received him. The former and late president, Jerry John Rawlings, was there. It was he who received him. In the presence of all the members of the Ghana Traditional Council. Most are gone now, but Nido Lunsaki is there. So you could go and ask him who sat in state to bury Nyamugi. And that is our custom. Whoever sat to perform that rites is the very person who has the right to install the new king. And he just did that. Thank you for your question.
My name is Ketri Bedu. I report for Kesben. My question has to do with the ruling that came from the appeals court. And there was a release from the camp of King Teku Churu's office. And it said, Ni Adames camp shouldn't glorify themselves with the ruling that came. Simply because, quoting them, it is under the Ghanaian law, the courts have no jurisdiction to determine causes or matters affecting chieftaincy. As such matters fall exclusively within the purview of the Judicial Committee and the traditional councils, regional and national House of Chiefs. That is why they see no need for that ruling from the appeals court to be something that you should glorify yourself with. Based on the constitution that is stated here, that no Ghanaian, the Ghanaian law does not permit any court to institute the chief. I want you to clarify that from if it is so, or because if that is so, it means that the matter is within or is in the hands of the traditional council, and therefore the courts have no jurisdiction to do that. So I want to know if there's any clarification.
Thank you very much. The question you asked clearly shows that Kevin Taki and his courts doesn't know what they are talking about. They are not even aware of the rules that govern the institution of chieftaincy. I'm saying that because the first thing I'll tell you, my brother, don't go. The first thing I'll tell you is, as we are speaking now, the president of the National House of Chiefs have filed an appeal. Is that not it? Kevin Taki himself has also filed certiorari at the Supreme Court. So if he is telling you that the Constitution does not mandate the courts to intervene in such cases, why is he now running there? I mean Kevin Taki himself. Why is he running there? Two, when we read the statement, we mentioned mandamus. There are things in the Constitution and the courts, when it is done to you and you don't understand, you are permitted to go to the traditional courts. And in the case of Adamalache, he went there on mandamus. So if they don't know what mandamus means, I will plead with them to find. I know they have fine and quality lawyers in their camp, so they should find out. I'm saying that because the pronouncement by the appeals court, to me, doesn't say the appeals court have installed a gunman chair for their guns. Already there was a gunman chair who has been installed by this very National House of Chiefs. And the Constitution and the Act they are quoting expressly say that when somebody passes through the process of installment and is gazetted, the only alternative where his name can be expunged from the National Register is either he has been distilled, he himself has abdicated. That means he feels he is sick, he is old, and he cannot perform. So he's now giving the opportunity so that somebody else could come. Or the mighty should forgive me unless he joins his ancestors. So these are the three conditions. None of this happened to Adamalache. Ask them whether they bestowed him before they went and put Kevin's name in the register. Ask them, because the act itself says whenever a chief is removed, it should be reported to the regional house, and the regional house will report to the National House of Chiefs. So National House